What's up, nerds? Welcome back to another video. Today, I wanted to do kind of honoring a player that we won't see competing in the spring semester of CRL because Nolly's been doing extremely well under the M80 banner in the RLCS. Shout out to him for that. But I have had it confirmed that St. Edward's won't be fielding a roster for the spring semester. Some things fell through, so they're looking to the fall of next school calendar year to make their return to the CRL space. So that means Noly and Wellis are sitting things out, and I wanted to look back and kind of honor the best game that I remember seeing from Noly in the St. Edward's jersey in the fall semester. And I'm gonna go ahead and start playing. You can see the matchup: Cumberland versus St. Edward's, and this happened at the Chattanooga, or the University of Tennessee Chattanooga Scenic City Invitational LAN. It was in Chattanooga at their convention center during the Chattanooga Comic Con, which I think is a sick venue for a LAN, like in the big convention center. It's during a decently sized convention, and it was a really cool setup, and honestly really well run for being UTC's first Rocket League LAN. I've seen a lot of first LANs go haywire in my time in the space, but UTC did a good job, and it led to some pretty incredible moments, and I think this game was one of them. It says the lower brackets. Ooh, I don't remember which rounds. It's not semifinal. I just like bracket knowledge, like lower round 3 or something like that. It's where teams that lose in the quarterfinals of an 8-team double elim bracket fall down and play squads that have been already winning in the lower bracket. So you figure it out for yourself. But it was a pivotal series because St. Edward's had like a good LAN so far. They had played Kennesaw State, who were making their debut on LAN with Cronovi quite well, and Kennesaw State ended up placing top 3 if memory serves, or top 4. And so for St. Edward's going against Cumberland in this stage of the bracket, it's do or die, win or go home, because Cumberland had lost earlier in the day to Bruton Parker. And when LAN start at 8 in the morning, I don't put a ton of stock in the results that come at 8 in the morning when gamers are still waking up. They probably still feel like they're in bed, sitting at their setups on LAN. And so for Cumberland to lose to Bruton Parker, I was like, okay, BPC had the better morning routine and got the better of a Cumberland squad that up until this point had looked fantastic. They had absolutely dominated their group. They had decimated East Tennessee State, making their debut with their 2 Frenchmen that had transferred, Leon and Kasai, and ETSU ended up placing in the top 3. I don't remember the exact standings, which is my bad for not prepping, but it's on Wikipedia. Go pull it up for yourself. But here we go. Nolly scoring his first goal of this game. And the whole narrative for St. Edward's at this LAN was, can Tater not be a liability? And he caught a lot of flack, both coming into this LAN and at this LAN, for being the weak link. And he is a very realistic player. He knows that on a team with Noly and Wellis, he is the weak link. But, you know, you still feel bad for talking about how a player has to not screw up for their team to win. And that wasn't fully the case. Tater was the X factor, not in the sense that he just had to not screw up or whatever. It's a clean shot from Wellis, by the way. But he had some good moments himself, and in defense, he and Wellis locked things down. And when Noly was playing at his best, it was when Wellis was able to come off the back line. Noly didn't have to worry about the goal line because Tater was playing at a level where the defensive third was secure. And so, honestly, this series is an example of what Tater did to unlock Noly and Wellis, and so I think he plays a big part in this upset, just like Noly does. But we are focusing on game 3 here because of Nolly's performance. I missed just now how many points he was at, but he ends up dropping 1,000 in this one. I wasn't casting this one. This is McMaster and Feisty Taquito casting. I was in the crowd for it because we had 4 casters, and you had one guy that was off, one guy that was on production, and then the 2 that were doing the commentary. And so I was in the stands for this one, and I was enthralled by this performance out of Nolly, because they split the first 2 games, obviously, and so you see that and you're like, okay, this is where Cumberland starts to pull away, start exploiting some of the weaknesses on the St. Edward's end, because I think defensively they lacked a lot of trust, and I think that's fair. At times, this was early in this trio's lifespan, and they sorted those issues out as the season went on. Credit to their coach Beastbound and Nolly, Wellis, and Tater for, as individuals, figuring things out. But you can see Beastbound on the camera, on Wellis's camera on the bottom right. He's right behind Wellis's head on the right side of your screen. That's Tony on the left side. He's the St. Edward's director. But Beastbound is a pretty decent friend of mine in the scene. Really love what that dude does. So I'll advertise for him. If you want a coach that is locked in on being a coach and not just an analyst or anything like that, Beastbound is your guy. He is the full package when it comes to coaching. And I highly recommend him if you will want to improve as a team or as an individual. But that's my pitch for him, and he did a lot of good work with this St. Edward's team. They were a squad that I think were 2 wins away from the top 8 in CRL in the closed qualifier. So, or the top 4, I should say, in the closed qualifier. So, no, it was the top 8. Sorry, it's been so long since the fall semester. It doesn't feel like CRL ever existed with how little talk we had about the spring semester. But look at this. This right here was the moment where I was like, oh my God, we are witnessing a performance for the ages. Like this was the goal from Nolly that sat me in my chair, because this takes the lead for St. Edward's in a swing game, and it's Nolly on his own here. He's set up and in the corner, uses his flip off the sidewall late to get back in position to make more contact on the ball, and next here he starts to go up because he's not expecting extra contact from Nolly, and so that contact beats the first man, and now Nike's rotating back in. He's not finished his rotation, so he's not set up. He's facing the net right here. Just that quick reaction from Nolly, that bit of car control, gets him a favorable 50-50 against Nike, but he's only got 8 boost. There's not a ton he can do with this, but he uses it to push his car just that little bit extra on the broad side of the ball, because he knows where Nightya's coming from. And so with that 50-50, he puts it in with 38 seconds left in game 3 of an important series. And I don't know why we're watching, it feels like, on 280p, a little pixely, but that's all good. You can still feel the greatness of that goal. And this is after Nolly had sat out, I think, a year or so from the RLCS after his stint with OG. And I mean, he's doing stuff like this on LAN against 3 players that are RLCS caliber. Like, these 3 as a unit, these 3 Cumberland players, Next Night and Polar, teamed up in the RLCS the season prior and were making deep runs in close quals. But Tater misses right there, and you can see his webcam. He's shaking his head. He's apologizing for that one. It's a tough read because he has Polar in his face, and he knows if he screws up, Nex is waiting to tie that game up. And I feel so bad for Tater being in this position. Like, I feel bad for him, but also I have so much respect for this semester out of him. He went into a team knowing he was going to be the weakest player, and that the pressure was going to be on him not to screw up, to step up for his team, to win series against schools like this. Not like he's going to a situation where maybe he's the weakest link, but you're playing squads like Conestoga or St. Clair Gold as your marquee matchup. Now, this is Cumberland, number 2 seed in this tournament with Concord, and at the time of this, they were, I think they had just qualified into the first split of CRL's fall season. So, respect for Tater, and I'll talk about his semester here, I'm sure, for a long time to come, because I really do have so much respect for him. And we've talked at length about the game and Collegiate Rocket League, but right now, overtime, and this is a long one, so gear up here. But back and forth between these two. Both sides know how important a game this is. In an elimination match, to get to that match point first, on LAN, on stage, in front of a pretty decently sized crowd. There were times during this event where the Chattanooga Comic-Con goers had come in to enjoy the LAN. It was that good. And we were really spoiled with 3 quality CRL LANs in the fall, with Scenic City to start us off, and then DreamHack and BBB all had kind of different qualities that made them great. But I think when it came to the viewer experience, honestly, Scenic City was probably the best one. But Cumberland right now are hanging on by a thread. They don't have a ton of boost. Next and Night we're just allowed to fuel up a little bit, and that beat's pretty significant because now St. Edwards has to reset, and Cumberland have a moment to breathe. But Nolly's on the ball, and we've seen already what he's done in this series. At 700 points right now, and so you know what he's about to do in overtime over the course of the next several minutes. But minute 20 in, the tension is so thick, and we still got the boost glitch. I forgot about that time in Rocket League where the spectator would see a player as having 0 boost, and all of a sudden they would pop up to 100 without driving over a single boost pad. What a time that was. Had to really stay on top of what players were doing with their cars. But there's Nolly on the back line doing work. Significant bump, because now that gives Wellis space to clear the zone and alleviate some pressure. But Tater, as third man here, decides to take the light 50-50. He's outdone by Polar, which fair enough. Polar is a challenge demon. He does the fundamentals right. But it's such clean speed from Nolly there to find another clear. And now it's flipped the field, but double commit just doesn't end up affecting things. Such a good save from Nightya. Ice cold in net there. And this lane also felt like the coming out party for Nightya for the fall, because I think he was the most improved player on this Cumberland roster after, like, between the spring semester of last year and fall of this one. But that's a great opportunity.
Tries to find Polar with a continuation, but they still
so stressful. This is one of those series where I've only experienced a tension like this as a coach, not as a player. I could not imagine as a player. Being able to do that with such pressure, like, that's insane. And Nolly's grinning in cams after this one.
As he gets the dagger in game 3.
Let's go back and watch that sequence again, because it starts with a clear out. You have to remember, this sequence started with Nolly and Wellis diving like their lives depended on it. Nolly had no boost on the goal line. He double commits with Wellis, still gets back for a follow-up touch out, and now we can work towards possession.
Regulation, and I still can't figure
Tater sets him up with a great 50-50. Now Nolly catches. He's got pace, next backflips, because I think he knows he's beaten here over the top. So now he's got an open backboard. He nearly hits that. First of all, shout out Polar for being ready for that save. That's unbelievable. Next gets a pretty poor touch there off the back wall, and Nolly's ready for it. But what a game from Nolly. Hat trick, 1,038 points on the LAN stage. Absolutely putting St. Edwards on his back. And with him not competing in the spring or being deprived of an incredible player, you can see him enjoying himself there. But I know St. Edwards will be recruiting a high-level third for the fall, so you'll have to watch out for him once they do come back. But I figure we pay some homage to Nolly here, since he and Wellis won't be competing in the spring. Tater, I believe, either graduated or just stopped playing the game for the spring semester, so rest in peace to Tater. We thank you for one final great semester with St. Edwards. After he was on the Davenport B team for a while, I forget his first school, but he's made a name for himself. One of those glue guys. I mean, he's kind of coined the term, made us talk about glue guys all semester, which the fall was the semester of the glue guys. But that's a topic for a different video, I think. Nolly absolutely dominates. Let's hope he keeps doing it in the M80 jersey on the RLCS scene. But that does it for this video. Take care, and show matches actually are back. Follow Mr. Bepic on Twitch, also on YouTube. I should be multi-streaming on Tuesday and Wednesday. So tune in for that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.